Welcome to the Teens Talk podcast, created by the Student Virtual Board of Youth Celebrate Diversity. YCD supports teachers and students organizing locally, educating themselves and their peers, and taking action for inclusion and social justice. For more information, please visit ycdiversity.org. Welcome to episode 2. For many high school seniors, May 1st marks a major milestone, College Commitment Day. Today I'm talking with 3 high school seniors who've just made this important decision. We're going to talk about the highs and lows of the application process, the factors that swayed their choices, and what's on their mind as they get ready for college. Let's go around, introduce ourselves and our hometowns.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Nirali Narayan. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a senior at Highlands Ranch High School. I grew up in India, and then I immigrated to the United States at the age of 9, and I have officially committed to UC Berkeley.
Okay. I'm Blue. My pronouns are he, him. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm currently attending Rio Grande High School. I'm going to be attending University of Arizona here in the fall, and yeah, I'm really excited to keep sharing my passions and keep the adventure going. So,
Hi, I'm Lolly Sanchez Snow. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a senior at Poudre High School in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I have committed to Colorado State University, also in Fort Collins. Yeah.
Awesome. I just want to say congratulations to you all. That's such a big accomplishment to be graduating. And yeah, about me, I'm Leila. I'm actually a senior at Emerson College in Boston. I actually was in the same position as you all like 3 years ago or so. And yeah, it was a big time of my life. And yeah, I grew up in Denver, Colorado, and went to 2 schools in DPS, South High School and Denver School of the Arts. So yeah, getting into this discussion today about college, which I know it's a very big kind of discussion. Was there ever a specific moment or time when you started seriously considering college?
take that.
Anyone?
So originally I was fortunate enough to go to a private school called Albuquerque Academy down here on a full ride. The tuition was very expensive, but fortunate enough for me, I was able to go. And it's a college preparatory school, so the school work was really rigorous. And I think I can't really remember. A lot of my family hasn't attended college, but in my mind, it was something that I always was going to do. Like it was always the natural next step. So I think just from a young age, I've always, expected that of myself. And, now I don't go there. I moved to Arizona and then I moved back. So now, like I said, I'm going to Rio Grande, which is a school that's has a high like immigrant population. So a lot of their families haven't gone to college, and resultingly, a lot of them aren't. So despite the fact that I'm surrounded by a lot of people who aren't going to college, I still always expected myself to go, and of course, I am going. So I think that there's always been a thing for me, an aspiration for my life.
I've always kind of known I would go to college. I have a family that all has been to college, and once I knew kind of what I wanted to do in like for a future career, I was like, well, I got to go to college for that. So that's why I want to go.
Yeah, I've kind of followed the same journey as well. My family is all pretty educated, and I just wanted to follow in the line of my parents and my family members in the sense that after high school, I knew I was going to go to college and pursue my career through more education.
Yeah, thanks for sharing and stuff there. I know everyone's at a different place. Or it's good to hear, you all got the encouragement to attend college. And I know for many different reasons. So kind of going back into this, your influences, about going to college. I know that your specific high school or high school experience is bound to have shaped you in certain ways. How do you think like the overall environment of culture at like your high school influenced your specific decisions about college or your plans after graduation?
Yeah, for me, like kind of what I was saying, everyone around me I knew was going to college, despite my family not going. So just being surrounded in that culture really made me feel like it was just the natural next step. I never really considered anything else. Um, and pushing that forward, I think it made it more difficult once I moved away from that, to take initiative myself. Because like I said, my family wasn't really doing it. I didn't have anybody, like my parents did, but even then, they really told me like I got to do it myself. Like I really got to go and struggle. So just being kind of cast out into the waters to swim myself, became, yeah, it was more difficult. Like applying for scholarships and doing everything myself. My counselor, my college career counselor, didn't really reach out to me at all. I would always have to go find her, when I first started, applying and seeing what I wanted to do. So I think in terms of that, it made a more difficult process. I know it makes it a lot more difficult for my peers. I know a lot of them aren't going, probably just because their family hasn't gone and no one really encouraged them to go, and they never really saw it for themselves. So I really think, um, encouragement goes a long way, and realizing that it is something that you can do. If you want to, you can get there. So just encouraging kids to say, "Hey, this is something you can do," to encourage them to want to go. Of course, and I mean, they have that option. Maybe they don't. Maybe they won't go, but they could. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Blue.
I don't think my high school really had that much of an influence on whether I wanted to go to college or not. We do celebrate, like, we have like a decision day, and our school celebrates wherever you're going, whether it's actually to college or to like maybe to join the army. So we're a very accepting high school on where you want what you want to do after your high school.
I think I have definitely been impacted by my high school, although I've always known that college is the path for me. I mean, that came like second nature. I didn't really, like Blue said, like I didn't really know of any other option either. Like I knew I was going to college from a very young age. Um, I do think that my high school impacted me in the sense that through extracurriculars, when I got more involved, or even when I was seeing my friends do like various activities, take various classes, like I knew I wanted to pursue that in college. Along with my experiences of just going to like a white majority school, I think I was always very inclined to find more diverse spaces, and I was definitely looking forward to that in a post secondary education phase. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all for kind of sharing your kind of beginning of your story. I know schools can sometimes have a very big impact or not so much. And yeah, family also has its own thing. I guess I don't know. I always thought about it like for me, like when I attended high school, I kind of was in like two different worlds. For my first high school at South, it was very much kind of mixed school in terms of like there's people from a lot of different backgrounds all put together because it was a larger school. But I feel like most people there kind of like it was there was a pretty good population of students who are like minorities or students of color who like came from more working class backgrounds who like it was kind of like the whole like it was kind of a big deal to be thinking about college or going like out of state as well. And then there was like a very small sect of students who were like in the AP classes who were like really kind of cared about college, but there wasn't, the resources to think about it. And then going to like, yeah, like Denver School of the Arts, which is like a public school, but you had to take a lot of steps to get in there and kind of get selected to attend. Like, yeah, I guess for like me, I saw that there is kind of a level of privilege, and sometimes it really is your family that impacts like you going to school because everyone there is kind of an unspoken notion. I don't know if you all felt that of like everyone's going to college and talking about their plans or wanting to go to like a really well-known school. So yeah, there's just a lot that goes into that. So kind of going back to this idea of family, which I think has played a really big impact in this kind of decision. How exactly has like your family impacted your decision on applying to college and maybe also which schools you were interested in applying to?
Yeah. So like I said, both of my parents attended college. They both went to UNM. My stepdad went to ASU, UNM, and University of Arkansas. So wide variety of schools. Of course, I'm going to University of Arizona, which is like ASU's super rival. And I think I just didn't want to follow the same path. I wasn't interested. So, in that case, doing something different. But from a larger perspective, the majority, like my extended family and everything, hasn't and isn't going. Like all my cousins aren't going or anything. And I think, I was very fortunate enough to have parents who encouraged me to keep going and to pursue that secondary post-secondary education. And I think without them, I probably wouldn't have, really cared or I'm a teenage boy, I'm lazy. So I can, get lost in everything else that's going on. So I think just having their support, not only to go, but also supporting wherever I go. They really want to make it happen. They want me to experience as much as I can before I get, locked in with a 9 to 5 and a wife and kids and all that down the line. I think, they really just wanted me to do as much as possible. Uh, Go study abroad if I can, like really like stars are the limit. So I really think it, that is like a huge factor. I can only imagine if I had parents who were like, no, don't go, or they're encouraged me to work throughout high school and things. Like, thankfully, they've been like, hey, enjoy your time, like as much as you can before you are in that grind. Like, make sure to take things slow and enjoy things, and enjoy wherever you go. Like, make sure that you're really doing it for yourself. I really think that changed my perspective um, on just where I want to go and what I want to do. So now I'm able to University of Arizona is really amazing. I love Tucson. Um, I'm originally from Phoenix, so I didn't want to go back to there. I wanted something new, but also as cool as a little familiar. So, just the fact that they're able to encourage and even let me get away. I know some moms and dads are like, "Oh, I'm gonna keep you for life." So, you know, good experience.
I can go next. Oh, do you want to go longer? Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think family has definitely impacted my decision big time. Um, Not in the sense of like they've been controlling. They've actually been so open and supportive to the point where I was like requesting my parents, like, please tell me where I should apply or what I should do for my major, minor, anything. But they really do want me to explore my independence and push me so I can figure things out on my own, which I've kind of appreciated. Nevertheless, I have an older sister, and of course, since she was the first in an immigrant family to go through the whole application process, I think my parents had to navigate first through her, like application wise, and getting to know about early action days and how FAFSA works and all of that. So I was very lucky to be the youngest and getting that experience from both my sister and her knowledge, as well as my parents, was really, really helpful and necessary. And I'm very appreciative of those resources that I had that my sister didn't have, or other immigrant families don't always have either, especially when you don't have a great like post grad center at your school or something like that. I think other cases that my family has also supported me in just like being a good support system of like, you face a lot of rejections when you apply to a bunch of schools, especially like higher ranked schools. And getting through that whole process is often really difficult. So they helped me through it. And even just application wise, like as I was writing my essay, which I did happen to write about my mom, I wrote some about my grandma, just a lot of culture and things that are important to me. So I had them read it over numerous times. And so I think, yeah, I think my family has had a big impact on how I've gotten to this place, but not necessarily how I made the decision or what I made the decision for.
Um, my mom has been a great impact on my college journey. It's just her and I in our household, so I'm very close to her. We're also really close to my extended family. So the first one to go to college in that area was my cousin, and she was going to go to a university in Hawaii. And then last second, she chickened out, was like, no, I just want to go to CSU. and my whole family was very supportive of her. And like, that's okay. You're still going to college. Like, that's what's important, is where you feel safe. And that's kind of how it's been for me as well, is my mom hasn't like been like nagging or anything, and I've kind of known I just wanted to go to CSU and nowhere else. So it's been a smooth ride, and she's like, "Oh, that's great. Yay, you got in, you know." Like I didn't apply to anywhere else either. So it was easy, and she was very supportive of everything.
Yeah, that's great to hear that you all had such kind of supportive families and they play such a big role. Like my family also played like a fairly large role. I'm an only child, so I yeah didn't get the foresight, so I kind of fell into a lot of the ups and downs of the journey there. But kind of I wanted to flip the scenario on its head there. And was there any time in your life where any of you like thought maybe college isn't for me or there's just a lot of barriers? I don't know if this is going to work out. Any of you can jump in.
Like I said, I think college has always been a really like second nature path for me. So I didn't necessarily have a path where I was like, maybe I should go into the army or trade school or something like that. But I did think about a gap year. I think we're like, 17, 18 years old, and to have to make a decision on where you're going for the next 4 years, spending that much amount of money, and also having to decide like what you're going to major in, which is potentially going to affect like your degree and how you go forward in your career aspect that was. So all of that was pretty overwhelming for me when I was thinking about all of that. And so I explored a lot of options in terms of gap year, thinking like maybe if I did do a gap year, I could have a whole year to, navigate what I want to do and explore my options for what majors I could go into and what schools I should apply into, or even like make money and, like take up a full time job or something like that. However, I kind of deviated away from that the more I got into the college process, talking to a bunch of people, and I decided that I did want to just jump right into the college process, even if I was going undecided. Just because I think, and this is just for me, this is how my brain works and how I work as a person. I think I learn more about what I love and want to pursue the more I learn and educate myself. And I want to do that through like taking a bunch of classes. And even if I'm getting, my education credits out of the way my freshman year and navigating what I like through that, that is the decision for me. So I did contemplate it, but yeah, not doing it anymore.
Yeah, on a similar note, I also was pretty dead set on going to college. However, a lot of my extended family would constantly bring up different alternatives, uh, just taking up that job, that full-time job, making money, or going to trade school, or even joining the military. Like, uh, I feel like I got talks from all walks of life, and they encouraged me and supported me no matter what I did out of all the options. But throughout my time, like the further I got throughout, just from middle school all the way to high school, I was just thinking, I was like, I really enjoy being in the classroom. I really enjoy learning. I really enjoy people, and I think keeping it going be an amazing thing. Um, I think I'm gonna be in college for a very long time. I want to, you know, go as far as I can, really, to be honest. It's where I feel most comfortable. I love learning, and also it translates to real world, and it's really cool to brag about, I guess. So, yeah, it's something I think that's that on.
In a freshman class, we were asked to like research like a career that you maybe wanted like in later in life, and the only one I could think of was like a bartender. So we had to research like the education for that. And for some of it, like all you needed to do was like a 6 week training and you receive a certificate. And I was like, oh, that would be fun and easy. But the more I thought about it and the more my like career goals changed, I realized I needed to go to college in order to achieve them. So I didn't really have an option to do something else. And I, you know, thought of maybe doing a gap year, but then I was like, ooh, if I did a gap year, I don't think I'd go back to school. So I'm doing the safest option.
Yeah, I totally understand. There's like just so many options, out there that float in front of you when you're applying. I know it's such like high pressure because from my understanding, college commitment day was like May the 1st a few days ago from the recording here. So yeah, how did it feel for you all like when you were about to commit to college? Like when you did, like did you have a lot of options? Was it kind of like difficult to choose? Or did you feel like you kind of got to be prepared?
I feel like for me, so fortunately enough for the state of New Mexico, in-state tuition is free. If you're a resident here, if you're going and living on campus, it's just free. Um, Great opportunity. However, I did not want to stay in New Mexico. Like under any circumstance, I was like, I love it here. Amazing place. If you're watching this and you want to come visit, come visit. It's a beautiful city, Albuquerque and state in general. But I did not want to stay here. It's too small. Like I wanted to go out and live life, and I think that's a really important thing. Just going and seeing what else is out there. I was really scared of just, going to school here and then going to college here and then getting a job here and then starting a family here and getting a house, all that, and just being stuck and trapped and bogged down. So as soon as I like found out like I could get like out and had options, I was like, okay, that's something I really want to seriously consider. It just was the financial component. Um, because New Mexico is so free and you can have like minimal debt going out. That is an amazing luxury, right? It was really hard for me to say, hey, I'm gonna say no to that and get that off the table. Um, so for me, I was let's go. And I went to go visit. So I went up to Colorado. I visited CSU. I visited CU Boulder. Of course, I visited ASU, out and U of A. I applied to all those schools as well as all the in-state schools. I also, fortunately enough for me, got a letter from a couple of Ivy Leagues asking me to apply. So I was like, okay, I'll just shoot my shot, I guess. They like me. So um, I begged and I pleaded, and a lot of those guys didn't let me in anyway. So I ended up just saying, I think I want to stay far but close. And also I love the U of A campus. I love Tucson. It's beautiful. CU Boulder is where I really wanted to go for being transparent. But that place is super expensive and they don't give you any money. So what can I say? U of A all the way. So it's all about.
That is so interesting to me that you wanted to go to Boulder because I feel like for most Colorado people, it's between CSU and Boulder, and those are like the state schools that everyone ends up going to. So I feel like most Colorado people are trying to get out of here, which I think is really funny that you're facing the same thing in just a different state. So I had a really strenuous and long and tedious process with my college applications. I think so. I had a list of 24 colleges that I wanted to apply to. I narrowed it down to about 17. Um, I had like maybe 4 or 5 Ivy Leagues in there and high ranked schools, and I even got interviewed by like Stanford and Princeton, and was all excited about those two, but got rejected anyway. Just like you, Blue, I got rejected from I think all my Ivy Leagues except a wait list on Cornell. Yeah, so I have a, a lot of acceptances from like the state schools and some of the out of state schools that I've applied to. My main mission was like, yes, to get out of here, but only if it was like reasonable, right? Like, I didn't think that it was reasonable for me to go out of state and pay double, triple the tuition if it wasn't worth it. And what was worth it to me was if I got into like a top 20, top 25 school. So I only really applied to like East Coast's like high ranked prestigious universities and Ivy Leagues, and the West Coast, I applied to like UCs. So I only applied to like UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UC Santa Barbara. Got into Santa Barbara, waitlisted on UCLA, and then Berkeley was happened to be my like top 5 choices. So it worked out really well that I got into Berkeley, and I'm super grateful. Um, and yeah, I think I also visited a couple of campuses. I visited obviously the ones in Colorado, since I'm right here. And then I went on a California trip with my family over the past summer. So then I visited all the UC school campuses as well as like Stanford and stuff. So it was really exciting to like see where I'm going because I feel like it would be harder for me to make a decision of like, oh yeah, I'm going to like Princeton or something, having not seen Princeton. So yeah, that was my journey.
My process was honestly really easy. I did only apply to two schools, even though I knew I only wanted to go to one, and I knew I'd get in because CSU has a pretty good acceptance rate. So I applied to, I think it was Oregon State University, just to say I got into something else and I didn't like limit myself. I was really scared I'd be judged by the fact that I knew where I wanted to go and I knew I would get in. So that's why I applied to another university. Um, but I had already like received a partnership award to CSU, so it just made sense to go. Um, and like I didn't like submit my application until like December, and it was free, so like I was very slow about my whole process and then even committed in like January. So like I didn't stress about it. It was more about like scholarships for me that I was worried about because CSU is kind of expensive. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. I know it's always so exciting when it's like application season, you learn all this stuff and kind of like the point. Yeah, I feel like in Colorado, there is kind of a thing about like not going in state, even though like there's like the top, like the flagships like CU Boulder, which kind of is known for being like a good school, but it's also a very social, like very highly desired school by people out of state. Colorado's great, but you don't always recognize that, especially when it's like your classmates who are all going there, where the ones you like and maybe did not get along with as well go there. You know, I heard about like I remember hearing about CSU, like I maybe considered it, but I heard someone say it was like a cow town, like an older like version, so I didn't know what to think about hearing that. And I had a similar like I guess thought process to like Raleigh, where like I was like going crazy during COVID, which impacted my experience. And I was just like, I'm gonna apply to like every school that like sends me a letter if they're gonna give me like something for free that gives me like merch and like gonna go around and just test the water. So I have a lot of options. And I went on the Ivy League kind of track. I had like a very I guess more mixed record. So like I didn't have much luck. Like I wanted to go into film. It's actually funny you were talking about that, Blue, about like film and stuff. So like I was like maybe California, was like the name, but they had UC schools are very like strict and stuff with their stats. But it's also great hearing about, like college visits. I got to go to like the East Coast. I didn't get to visit like that many schools and stuff, but like just getting to tour around and also hear from people and actually meet people who attended the schools is very helpful to me. But yeah, it's great to hear you all are on track that you at least know kind of the campus life and stuff there. And that kind of goes into the next question, which is a really big one. So take your time on this one. When you're kind of looking at all these colleges, what are your main goals for your college education? And how do you feel like the competitiveness of a school or maybe the strength of your own application will help you like achieve your goals at college or in life?
Okay, yeah, that is a pretty difficult one.
Hefty question right there. Yeah.
Yeah. However, I think so. Okay, I'm pretty transparent about it. Through high school, I kind of skated by. Okay, I was really like, I'm gonna do the things. I was still in a lot of clubs. I did a lot of things like part of DECA, like I'm obviously part of YCD, um, and so I try to go out and do all the things. I was in sports and stuff, and my grades were all right, but I never tried to be a exceptional student or go for valedictorian. Like that never was a goal of mine. Um, I don't, I like. I'm young. I don't know exactly what I want out of a career, out of life. I know I really, really like just law field, philosophy. Like that was always like my goal. I like thinking and I like people. So like I want to talk to people about how they think and how the world works. And so I really think going to college will help me, not only interact with people, but just like I want to be like high school, but like deluxe. Like I want to just go out and I want to do all the things. I want to really try. I want to put myself forward. I want to be able to open a lot of doors for myself, for different opportunities, not necessarily take all of them, but have the opportunity to say, hey, this is what I want to do and not be limited by, let's say, money or acceptance or anything. Like I want to be able to go wherever I want to go. I want to compete with whoever I need to compete with, and just really like these next couple of years I don't want to say grind it out because that makes it sound like a grueling, terrible experience. But I want to try my best, to be my best, to get the best out of life, whatever that means for later me, because I think my goals right now are gonna be different than my goals later. So it's really just putting myself in the best position to succeed and then succeeding, hopefully, down the line. So yeah.
We'll give you time to think. Yeah, thanks. That's the right mentality though, Blue. I know you're going to succeed and do great things. That's what college is all about.
Thank you. That means a lot. Appreciate that.
I think my career goals are like squeezing everything out of the 4 years. Um, I know what the major I want to do and the career I want to go into. My uh, my city already has like such great resources. I want to start a brewery, and like my city's already like a huge like brewery town or whatever. So I think I'll get a lot of opportunities, as well as I want to continue my own like passion of everything like diversity, equity, and inclusion. I've already been accepted into the key communities at CSU, which will help me a lot with that goal of just helping my community and helping make sure the Fort Collins community is inclusive and diverse and equitable. So yeah, those are the skills that I hope to gain more in college, and I think it will be pretty easy.
I think why I struggle so much with this question is just because there is so much I want to get out of college, right? And the whole idea of like, what are your goals for college is just so big because I want to retain absolutely everything I can. And I think I tried to do that with high school, and I got involved in almost everything. I tried to get amazing grades because I wanted to like not limit myself and my options for college. And I just want to continue that aspect minus the burnout, of course. So I do want to continue getting involved. I want to continue holding my passions close to my heart. I want to figure out my major and how I can get an internship and a career and make a stable life for myself, like financially, mentally, everything. Like I want to be able to support myself and my family. Um, and honestly, my main goals for college is just absolutely like just living in general. Like I am excited for not only the education, but I am like beyond thrilled that I get to meet more people. Like that's the main thing, I think. I am so excited to like network and see people that are of different backgrounds than me. I think we've been like so limited in these areas and these little bubbles of where our high schools are. So I am definitely like excited about that.
I want to say, yeah, good for you all. There's so many thoughts and just like I know everyone's on like a different path going to different schools. Like shout out to you, Lolly, for like knowing about the communities and already kind of knowing what you want to do. I feel like there's such like a good like advantage. Like if you go like in state, I know I just was saying there's kind of pressure to leave and get out of your zone, but there's so much great about being able to stay in your own community and kind of continue developing, continue like doing stuff at home as well as having your friends there, but also taking yourself to that next step. Like there's nothing wrong, with doing that. It's really kind of an advantage to know what you want to do because there's so much in college. Like I also kind of totally relate to what like we were saying blue and neurality of like college, like for me, I'm so lucky to go to a school like that has like people from all over the world here, where like I like love Denver. You know, I love being there. I already thought it was diverse, but my mind was just like blown by how like many people from across the world. I'm just so like lucky. I feel like to get to live and be around people just from everywhere with so many different experiences. So there is like so much potential for personal growth. And also the other piece of wisdom is that you can get overwhelmed in school. Like especially if you go to like a bigger school or certain communities, like there's so many programs, there's so many people. Sometimes it's way easier to get like imposter syndrome or not know what you're doing or go onto one thing then realize it's not what you want to do. So it's good to have like a framework for the direction, but also be willing to take anything that comes because there's just so many different things that you can really get yourself involved in. And also to clarify, are you all going to be living on campus or any of you going to be living kind of more like at home or off campus?
Well, on campus for me.
On campus for me as well.
I will also be on campus, even though I live close enough that I could stay home, but I want the full experience.
Yeah, full residential experience for everyone. And do you all know if it's going to be all 3 or 4 years?
I guess I'm not certain. Who knows what the future holds? You know what I'm saying? I could go there and then my first year sucks. I'm like, I want out, and then I go transfer. But that's the plan. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, because I know for some schools that are like bigger, I heard stuff about people having to like, get apartments like sooner and stuff. I know some people who transferred from community college who also gotten apartments as early as like their junior year and stuff. So there's so much. So kind of going into this whole talk, like there's so many opportunities at these schools and so much to be excited about. What do you think about the term and idea of a dream school? Did you apply to any colleges, on your list thinking that you were going to be going to your dream school or that there was just an experience that you really wanted to have at a specific school?
You know, for me, maybe I'm crazy for this. I never really had like a dream school. Although I always knew I was going to college, there was not one I really romanticized in my head or anything, or like I really saw myself going to. Really, because I just believe that you're gonna get like whatever out of it you want. So anywhere you go, you really can just it can be your dream school. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds kind of cliche to say that out loud, but I really do believe that like your experiences are what you make it. Like I could be going to the best school in the world, but if I'm a Debbie Downer, I probably won't, take advantage of everything that there is to do. So as long as you're, making your way, meeting new people, pushing to do the most, representing yourself, your community, making sure you do what you want to do, not what others are wanting you to do, and just pursue your own interests, your own passions. Like I feel like any school is really cool. Like I said, I applied to Ivy Leagues and I didn't get out. For a second, I was like, wow, that's really cool. But I think I was more interested in like the social aspect. A lot of my friends are going to really, really nice schools. Like I said, I was going to the college prep schools, and I still follow that Instagram account. So every day I see like all of them are going, not all of them, but there's a large amount going to different Ivy Leagues and all over the country and just wherever they really wanted to go, to be honest. There are some that are staying down here, but it's the minority. So I really think like I want to be part of that. Oh man, I'm going to this school rather than like, oh that's actually where I want to be. It opens doors. It's really cool. It's far away. It's nice. All of those things, of course, right? But I still think I'm gonna have a beautiful, wonderful experience. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, I think for the majority of my life, I never was like U of A, that's the best, or yeah, well, that's the best. And it's just, you know, I'm gonna see how it goes, and I think it's gonna go pretty good.
Yeah, I think I had kind of a similar situation as Blue. I didn't exactly have a dream school, but I did apply to a lot of prestigious universities. I guess my like top school as I kind of ranked them out was Stanford, so I guess that would be constituted as my dream school. It's not like I had um, like had dreams or I don't know, always wanted to go to that school since I was like 3 years old. It wasn't anything crazy like that, but I think I was just really excited about how driven everyone is there, and honestly, at most prestigious universities. But this is something that you mentioned earlier about like imposter syndrome, and I think I definitely felt that, especially when I did get into Berkeley and I committed, I had all of these thoughts about like I don't think that I should have been accepted here. I don't think I'm meant to go here, and the school is made up of super smart people, and I'm not one of them, you know. And I always have, and I'm still struggling with that idea of like this is my place, this is where I'm meant to be, kind of thing. And it's reassuring to know that like even a final year student, fourth year, you're a fourth year student.
You're asking me, it's actually my like third year, but I'm graduating a year early.
Oh, cool. Congrats. Yeah, like even as a college student, that like you still often feel like overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of like things to do and people there are in college. Um, and I know that I may still have those feelings of like, there's a lot of smart people here, and then the school is like the best of the best, but um, I'm excited that I even have the opportunity to go. And so, like, although I didn't have a dream school, um, I think I am in the school that I've really wanted to go to. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say CSU is like my dream school, as that's the only school I like really aim to go. So I think like as a concept, it's it's great that people categorize things as like their dream and shoot for the stars, and I think that's really important for your own motivation. So but with CSU not being a very hard school to get into, I didn't really need to shoot for the stars. And it's okay if like the university that you want to go to isn't like an Ivy League. um and you can just be happy with where you're at.
Yeah, you all are like feel so ahead of the curve because I feel like it's an insecurity in every high schooler's mind of like, because some schools really do try to brand themselves being the best of the best and that's like very aspirational or elite, and you want to feel like the validation of being like that person you got in who's like this great student. But then a lot of people like sometimes attend these schools and realize they don't want to like live on like this campus, or they don't like the city or town, or that the programs aren't even like what they're interested and or they're not strong in what they're doing, or it's just a mismatch of like their expectations. So it's really good, I think, to like think out and be happy. Because like for me, I was like pretty late. Like it took like visiting schools for me to realize like what I valued. Like my family also had like some input there, but I realized like I really wanted to go to like an urban college, that like being in like a more rural area or a place where it's like I'd be walking around like outside or have to have a car, or like being like in Denver as well, like wasn't going to work as well for me. So I feel like you kind of like meet your school halfway, I guess is what I've been noticing. Like when you commit, you find kind of the best one. And I feel like that's sometimes like really, yeah, like where you're meant to be. So it's good to hear that we all kind of had that experience of finding the right place, and that it really like the school, I have to say, like does not always matter. Yeah, as much as people think, it's very what you make of
Right.
that.
I think a lot of like the idea of a dream school just comes from like the pressure students put upon themselves, and like you said, Blue, earlier, like students just wanting to compete with each other just for like the title of the prestige. And I also had like a hard time getting away from that mentality. Um, so I think that is definitely something associated with dream schools. It's just the title, or like, oh, look at me, I'm going to this prestigious school.
Yeah, it's easier said than done too. Like to get away from the mentality, like it's like in concept, in theory, you're like, oh yeah, why would I care? It's all made up. But when you see like your friends be like, oh yeah, look at me, like you're like, oh man, I wish that was me. You know what I'm saying? But like at the end of the day, it's gonna be awesome. So yeah.
Yeah. It feels really great to talk up your school, and you really should be. And everyone, I think, can have an awesome experience if they choose kind of well for themselves. And it does not necessarily matter about the name. So just good for you all just being excited. Because I feel like, yeah, going to college is like such a blessing, I guess, like in of itself. You all work so hard. So, like, why have to fight that hard over just like the name when you all haven't even gone to the school yet? So you wouldn't know, what it's truly like to be a student, what you're going to do there. So yeah, kind of moving on from the fun and exciting part of thinking about college, I want to get into the nitty and gritty aspect, the finances. So yeah, I've kind of heard that this year, like honestly, was really hard for financial aid, that the FAFSA like was broken, that I don't know how schools do scholarships now, like there's the college admissions, like in the Supreme Court also happened with like DI and like that. So I was just wondering what your thoughts are on that and how this year of scholarships and applications went for you.
Well, in terms of the FAFSA being down, that was really rough. I think that set everyone behind a little bit in terms of committing because they just wanted to see like what they can get. Thankfully, like my school was not very proactive in terms of college, except for that. They had like a whole thing. They're like, "Hey, yeah, bring your parents down. Let's all do our FAFSA together and stuff." So that was really nice. I really appreciated that. A little bit of hand holding, but outside of that, financially, like I said, New Mexico offers free tuition, which is really a good opportunity. Luckily enough, when I got accepted into University of Arizona, I got a nice scholarship, and then I applied for more. And I was lucky enough to get it. I heard for someone who recently graduated that they missed or they lost. I don't know if they lost or misplaced 250 million. So like that cut a lot of their like tuition or not tuition, scholarship money. So like a lot of their like they're not as generous as they would have been in previous years. I don't know the validity of that statement, so no one come at me, but that's what I heard. So um thankfully I was fortunate enough to be able to receive that. And yeah, I think for a lot of different people, like me, it was kind of smooth sailing, but I saw a lot of other people being like really dragged down in terms of committing, and a lot of people committed really close to the deadline, which I think otherwise they wouldn't have held out so long. So
The FAFSA was really hard. It just took a long time to get it out, even though I knew it where I wanted to go. CSU is still really expensive for being in state. Uh, and since it's just my mom and I, we don't make a lot of income. She's also a teacher, so that's not a lot of money either. Uh, so we were really like relying on like the FAFSA and seeing like how much we had to like save. Um, and while we were waiting for it, every like bit of money we could save, we did. So that's what we've been doing is just saving money because I did have my like partnership award for CSU, and I was applying to a bunch of like scholarships, and even like we have like one for our school district, and I applied to like 12 of those and I only got one of them, which was really hard to feel like I wasn't worthy to get that money to pay for my college and then have to be in debt. So yeah, it's just all we've been doing is saving because we didn't get a lot from FAFSA nor from scholarships. And then people around me are, um, saying like, "Oh, you don't have to like save like, my car is kind of bad, and my boyfriend's a car guy, and he's like, "Oh, just spend like $80 to fix this." I can't. It means being like $80 less in debt. Like that's really important right now because other, organizations around me haven't been giving me or awarding me money. So that's what I've been doing is saving.
Yeah, I definitely relate to the aspect of applying to like countless of scholarships and feeling like you're receiving none. Oftentimes, I feel like the scholarships that I'm applying to, especially the ones that are like no essay scholarships, and I'm like, okay, this will be quick, and I feel like those are just scams because I don't know of anyone who's been getting them. So that has been frustrating. Um, my whole idea of like when I was applying to schools out of state, I knew that that would be really difficult because if I ended up going to in-state, my family has like fortunately, and I'm very lucky that we have saved up enough to the point where I wouldn't be in debt for my undergrad education. However, going out of state, that means double or more tuition. And so that was definitely a difficult decision to make, and it definitely impeded me in continuing to go out of state, knowing that, my parents were going to spend so much on me. I felt like burdensome, and all those feelings definitely arose, especially with how little aid we get. Um, so, like, my family makes we're very comfortable in how much we make. However, we did immigrate here less than a decade ago, right? So having to offset that because we haven't always been making in dollars, we haven't always there's a lot of factors that offset doesn't take into account, which is very frustrating. Um, and on top of that, UC Berkeley did not give me any aid, and I don't think they give most students aid unless you are from a very low income background. Except it's not just low income background students who need aid, it's really students from every background because education just simply shouldn't cost so much. And I think that's probably the most frustrating thing of all, just to get a good education. College is so crucial part of everyone's lives. And most people are like, you cannot get a good job unless you get a college education. But education being so expensive itself, this whole cycle of the American education system is very frustrating. And I think that's probably the big factor of financial aid, like the issues that I've been encountering along with my peers.
Yeah, you all brought up a really great point because I feel like there's such a mix of emotions when going to college because you want to be excited because you've worked hard for like a good 15, 16 years of your life basically, or like a little less than that in school preparing. And then it's like you're gonna go off, but then you realize something you can't really control your family background can either help you or hold you back. And the cost of college, like that's a very real thing. Like my school even has like a 2% hike, basically it feels like every year, and it's gone up like somehow like 10% up in the last year because they did like delays. So like the real cost is like that's a very real kind of thing. It sucks to kind of have to handle like the whole I'm doing great, like going to a dream school I want to experience and move on to the next chapter. But part of that is also it's going to be like some of the most expensive like years of your life, kind of trying to pay for that and worrying about, like debt. Like the FAFSA also kind of enrolls you to like take out government loans as a part of like the package as well. So it's already kind of gets you used to being like in debt and borrowing money, and you don't always know like your career prospects, I guess, or future. And it's like college should it really cost like 80K to 100K to go to like a top end like private school that also has to do with like the name branding thing and experience. So it is a really big conversation, and thanks for kind of bringing that up about how it is really challenging to figure out the actual like logistics of the money and how your family kind of is important in that there. So I wanted to kind of jump on to the next question, which may actually have more to do with this whole kind of financial conversation is how important is it for you all to kind of attend a school or know about what is in the school for diversity and inclusion?
I think that's very important. I don't want to go somewhere where it's a bunch of like-minded people. I think that just encourages an environment of similar ideas, and then you don't get anywhere. Like I really think you need challenges with different people, um, and I think that's what progress is. Just the you know mixing of everybody. So while I don't think University of Arizona is the most diverse school ever, I also think that just my background, like I'm mixed. So my mom is from like Atlanta, but she is like she's Caucasian, like very white, and then the other side of my family is all from Mexico. So I feel like for me, I already live in a diverse environment. My stepdad is Navajo, so like I grew up a lot like going down to the reservation and growing up very traditional. So um just I think that's a large part of my life now. It's a large part, later. No matter where I go, I'm carrying that with me. But just seeing other people who are holding a lot of different titles would is of course important. No matter not just in school, but throughout life. Um, just for progress and for fun too. I don't think it's any fun talking to a bunch of people who are like you. Um, or going to school with a bunch of people like you. That sounds kind of lame. So I think promoting, not promoting, but representing it for your own diversity is important, and hoping that others do the same in your communities.
Like I said, going to a white majority school, um, it's very frustrating when your peers don't understand why going to a diverse school is such an important factor for you. And one of my friends like asked me like, why is that such a priority for you? And although I agree with the sentiment that like you do with what you make college to be, right? Like your experiences are what you make it out to be, and I definitely agree with that. But I think that is also affected by how willing is a school to represent their students and their needs? How supportive are they of the programs? Are they going to tokenize you and your identity, or actually support you in their like programs and studies and academics and all of beyond just the college's names of like look at our diversity rate? So all of that is crucial to me. And like Blue said, like having students who aren't like you, but also similar to you, who speak the same language as you, but you can learn stuff that's different from you. Like all of those diverse experiences is what's part of college to me. And what I am so excited about is um, like gravitating towards networking and this idea of like globalization of all kinds of people meeting each other. And diversity, like, it doesn't mean just ethnic diversity, right? Like I'm willing and I'm excited to meet people of all different backgrounds. And a college that supports inclusion is beyond important to me. I think it is a very, very crucial factor.
Yeah, I think going to an inclusive school or and diverse is really important to me. Even though CSU is a majority white school and a lot more people with money, getting into key communities was really important to me because I really value being around, um, you know, diverse backgrounds as someone whose identity has been like very important to me, as a mixed individual and being growing up in places that have been predominantly white. I wanted to make sure I have a college experience where I don't feel alone. Um, and key communities will definitely help with that. I have a friend already in there and he's said it's pretty great. So I'm excited to do something like that, as well as it's important because not only like do I want like that for myself, but also as it's something I'm passionate about and like, growing with it and making sure, my whole community is diverse and inclusive. So that's why it's important to me.
Yeah, those are all good points. And I kind of get the feeling you're all saying, it's the same basis of part of what makes college great are the people, and you don't just want to see the same ideas. Because the thing about college and in your classes that I think is a bit different in your high school is that you're going to be discussing a lot of ideas and having some very, very open, intense discussions. And those discussions can get very boring or one side when it is like one group of people more often. And the PWI, like the like majority white college is it's still a problem. There's still kind of that big issue of diversity, and colleges will say a lot of stuff, but you got to kind of be able to read between the lines, and find communities. The one thing I can say though that like is a benefit of college is because there's usually a larger student body and sometimes there's support staff, like more intercultural or like other kind of groups and stuff, is that there will be like affiliation programs, like what Lolly was saying, like key communities, or there will be like a club, that focuses on like people of your background or certain interests as well as first generation. So schools have been like good, I guess, at making that visible, but there is kind of still the idea of like who they're admitting and who's coming in using those services, like not being tokenized, and the way like they invest in their students that it's important to kind of look out for that can be improved on and stuff. And I know you all are going to bring a great kind of perspective and point of view to wherever you're going and stuff there. So kind of jumping into the next question, which is the second to last one. This one's also a really kind of big question, so you can kind of take your time to gather your thoughts. Do you feel like the college admission process is fair? And is there anything you would have done differently, or kind of, if you could change the system, what you would do if you could go back?
Um, I don't think the college admission process is fair at all, especially since, the Supreme Court, did their thing, and now, people that relied on their ethnicity aren't able to be seen as well, like, as greatly as compared to their white peers, um, because there's definitely a big difference in being white and being a person of color in this country. So, you know, there's that. Um, you know, I think I lost it.
Yeah, I think that's like undoubtedly after affirmative action was overturned, I think that's definitely a big part of it. I think beyond even before the application process, I think a lot of it is like cultural. Like I said, like a lot of my classmates that I go to school with aren't even applying and then do that as an option for themselves. And I think that's why you get predominantly white schools because a lot of other ethnicities, um, and especially I think impoverished communities, which tend to be people of color, um, just like fail. Like they don't try. They fail before they even go out. So I think like it just comes down to encouragement, like we were talking about earlier. I know a lot of teachers at my school, we don't have a very high graduation rate, so a lot of teachers at my school um, really focus on the kids who are struggling rather than on those who are doing well. So if you're getting A's, it's really like, oh, cool, we don't have to worry about you on to the next one, right? Let's make sure that we focus on those who are struggling. I think that's important. But why aren't like at my school, why aren't all of our top students applying to Ivy League schools or even like applying to anything beyond UNM? A lot of people are going like to community college, and while that's not like a bad thing at all, like that's definitely a good option for a lot of people. They're not even testing the waters otherwise. So I think a lot of it starts beforehand, and I think that's just systematic, oppression. Like it's just how it goes, and that's really hard to break because it's not just you know give them more money or put them in spaces. It's more of an attitude thing and really getting the first step in the door. Like as soon as we start getting like that's why I really want at the end of my career, I really want to go back. I want to do something with education. And maybe start like tutoring or helping just kids like take that first step, being proactive outside. So not making the kid be proactive, saying, hey, and reaching out to those kids who are already succeeding, saying, hey, what can we do with that? Where can we go? And really showing everybody like if we had people who are going to these Ivy League schools, like I really want to do that not just for myself but for my community, and just prove that hey, we can really do something, and like it's not beyond us. Like it seems almost otherworldly. I think anything beyond UNM seems almost otherworldly, but Ivy League is so far beyond like the grasp. I think we just really need to like. That's not saying we're going to send everyone to Ivy Leagues in the future, but you know, I everyone else is trying. Like it sucks to fail, but like you gotta get your foot in the door. I think once people start going, other people start seeing that and say, okay, let me try. And eventually you get a diverse community, like repeating that process all throughout America, not just in my community where I want to see it happen, of course, but um, across all different communities that aren't even trying. So I really think it starts before the application process, before even high school, maybe like elementary school, getting them thoughts in those heads. Hey, you guys can do it.
Yeah. Those are great points, and I definitely agree with those. Along with, I just think the whole admissions process is unfair in the sense of um, it's a very elitist system, right? You start thinking about college, you have to reel it down in if you are from really any other background that is other than like extremely wealthy, or even if you are like a legacy kid, right? You know your advantages compared to someone who doesn't have the same opportunities. Um, Even applying to the 17 schools that I did, I think it was about like $1,500 to $2,000 worth of money just to like send my applications in and uh, like go to campuses, like all of those things cost money, and that ends up contributing to who can get in, who can't get in, that kind of thing. Um, I think it's unfair in so many ways, and I think I agree with both Lolly and Blue that it's just ingrained in our systematic way of like how the American education system works, and it's very disheartening to hear. And you try and think about like if I could do this process any differently, how would I? But you honestly can't just because of how like we're just one person in a big system, right? So you just have to kind of play along with the system unless you become a person with power that can actually start making the change. So yeah, I think it's definitely unfair, and I'm hoping to also go back into my community or um, just start making the change as I grow older and I hold more power. Because as a student right now, I feel like I am kind of helpless in making a change to the system. Even simple things like getting good SAT scores, like people often have resources like getting an SAT tutor, like it really goes like there are so many in-depth systematic oppressive ways where like rich people can succeed and go farther than other people, and it's yeah.
Oh, I wanted to touch on the SAT thing a little bit, if that's okay. I just want to talk about, yeah, I noticed just like how, because like I said, I went to that college prep school, and a lot of those kids, like the tuition's extremely expensive year to year. Um, and a lot of those kids performed like amazingly. Well, it's not even like it culturally is different too. Like when they show up to take the SAT, it's like I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna dip. Like, oh, it's a free day off school. Like I'm not really worried about getting the best score. I'm not really worried about anything like that. And even though those who do want to try rarely do like relatively that well, just because of those lack of resources. So I definitely noticed that like across even though it's a graduation requirement, kids just see it as like a check mark next to the box rather than, oh, this is a tool that'll help me get money that'll go further in the future. It's not even like perceived that way, just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I just want to talk about again, like, just like you have to be like, sorry, let me start over. um, like, just like with like college, like your college essay and how much you have to like really like make yourself sound like so much in need, especially like for like financial aid in order to get it when like literally everyone is struggling in this country. And it's that process is unfair because even when you think, because you can still drown in 3 feet of water as well as the ocean. And, you know, it's kind of minimizing about like your own struggles when someone is struggling more, but, we all need the help.
Right. Also, just like the advantages of how some people can afford like college advisors and counselors, like personal ones, who literally coach you through each process of like, okay, and now you have to do the SAT and you can retake it at this time, which again costs more money. And then to submit your SAT scores, that costs money. Um, like the privilege of even affording a college advisor and getting you to through that whole process is all aiding to get to these like prestigious universities, um, which is really like disheartening to see that if you have aspirations of getting to these schools, you have to take it through such lengths, which often people can't afford.
Yeah, you all just point out so many things that also like I just saw as well there. And it is just the biggest like kind of can of worms and issue like in higher ed, this talk about privilege, to talk about access, the fact that they do indeed, like from my own experiences, they do cater to the person with the most money. It kind of there's also an issue where schools are getting more expensive because they're being run like businesses, and people in higher ed oftentimes come from more well-off backgrounds, and the situation as the system kind of perpetuates itself, so people forget that a lot of people are struggling or in need, or they're thinking more about maybe even like the experience or getting like the best of the best, about wondering how the idea of what makes you great is measured. And I guess one big reflection that I have and why I kind of wanted to bring this idea of fairness up in college decision making is that sadly I feel like the idea is like the school you go to very much does kind of correlate to the resources, sometimes more than like your skill or hard work is what I've noticed. Like so many people like at my school and stuff, they're like they at least acknowledge. I feel like we're getting better at that. That is like their background. Like if you go to a private school, you're raised in a family that had like went to higher education and made money, you know, in a successful career because they got an education, are able to kind of keep their kid going in that. And people who are not a part of the system, like they don't even have the knowledge sometimes of other options or what's required or what the importance of the FAFSA or SAT is. So they can't even like participate or give themselves like a fair shot and stuff. And it's just so like extreme that people who work really hard oftentimes like still have to struggle in school, and schools don't always acknowledge or care about that. And they put this whole thing about like merit and stuff when I don't really think that that's the case because of the system at all. And you kind of learn that when you look at yourself going to college and your classmates still, even though everyone's worked really hard and like done their best. So yeah, don't want to end on like that downer note about kind of the system and some of our thoughts on it. So do you all have anything to say to other college bound high schoolers maybe coming in like the year after you about what they should know or think about when applying to college?
I say don't limit yourself. Do everything that you can. I know, like we're talking about, money makes it hard to apply. Um, Luckily at my school, they have fee waivers, so they do waive the fees for application. Um, and they waive the fees for submitting your SAT scores. So those are very like advantages that I'm very grateful to have. Um, but whatever you could do, apply to all the scholarships. Don't get discouraged by losing. It sucks. Everyone hates it. It sucks. But just do everything you can. Um, don't be complacent. Get to where you want to be, whatever that means.
I think my advice would be whatever path you choose to go on, like whatever's meant to be will be. And that is also part of like how you choose to perceive your experience through college or whatever path you may end up going to. Um, but you really do, you meet your people and you choose your path. And I think that you can make your experience out to what it is meant to be.
Yeah, I would say it's okay if you know exactly what you want to do. Don't feel pressured by, needing to like apply to so many schools. And if you are someone that doesn't know what you want to do, it is also totally okay applying to so many schools and then figuring out where you want to be. Everyone is different, and that's what makes life unique. And whatever path you take will eventually be the right one.
That's so awesome. I just want to applaud you all for coming here and sharing your stories and kind of your words of wisdom. Like, college is just a living experience. It's a really tough time. I know being a senior one, senior to other, figuring out your options. And it is hard. Like, everything is tough from like going out, having your hopes up, figuring out what you want to a lot of times like putting yourself out there and feeling so much rejection that really sucks to be so young and hopeful and then have to deal with so much and make so many big decisions. But ultimately, like you do end up where like you need to be or what feels right. And if it isn't that way, you can always kind of change that. There's so many options if you just look around, and you gotta kind of keep pushing on and going for what you dream of. And college is kind of the place where a lot of dreams are found, where you can find a lot of inspiration. So just yeah, great luck to you all and your next adventures.